I will teach you how to think the right way, not the comfortable way, not the popular way, not the way that makes excuses feel acceptable. The right way. Because the biggest difference between successful people and unsuccessful people has never been intelligence. It has never been talent. It has never been background, education, or luck. The difference is thinking. I'm not talking about IQ. I'm not talking about how fast you solve problems on paper. I'm talking about how you process reality, how you interpret obstacles, how you respond to pressure, uncertainty, failure, and time. Two people can face the same situation, same resources, same limitations, same opportunities. One rises, the other stays stuck. The difference is not what happened to them. The difference is what they believed it meant. Successful people think differently than unsuccessful people. That is not opinion. That is observation. Wise thinking leads to correct living. Foolish thinking leads to destructive living. Every outcome in your life is first born as a thought. Every habit began as an idea. Every decision started as a belief. If you want a full life, not just a busy one, not just a loud one, but a meaningful and powerful one, you must be intentional about what fills your mind, because your mind is always being filled. If you don't choose the content, the world will choose it for you. Right now, at this moment, there is only one place your attention belongs. Today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Today, one of the most important realizations I ever made is something many leaders never fully understand. What truly matters is not the past and not the future. What truly matters is now. We exaggerate tomorrow. We speak about it as if it is guaranteed, as if it will automatically reward us for intentions we never act on. We exaggerate yesterday. We replay it. We justify ourselves through it. We use it as an excuse or as an identity. And yet we underestimate now. We underestimate how much power exists in this single moment. We underestimate what one focused decision can change. We underestimate how one disciplined action today can alter an entire future. The only moment you possess is now. The only moment I possess is now. Not later, not someday, now. So the only honest question is this: what are you doing with your now? Great leaders do not live in the past. They do not live in fantasy futures either. They live in the present moment. That is why they seem grounded. That is why they seem calm under pressure. That is why they make progress while others panic. They understand that the present moment is where control exists. Yes, they look ahead, but only briefly. They take a small look into the distance to confirm direction, then they return immediately to today. Because today is where work happens. Today is where discipline lives. Today is where foundations are built. Tomorrow is not built tomorrow. Tomorrow is built today. There are no limits to what you can achieve except the limits you place in your own mind. That statement makes people uncomfortable because it removes excuses. It does not mean the path will be easy. It does not mean success will arrive quickly. It means difficulty is not the same as impossibility. It will be hard. It will challenge you. It will demand more than you want to give. But hard does not mean impossible. Most people confuse discomfort with danger. They feel resistance and assume something is wrong. In reality, resistance often means growth is happening. We all want motivation. Everyone talks about motivation, but most people misunderstand it completely. They wait for motivation as if it is permission, as if it is fuel that arrives before movement. That is a mistake. Motivation does not cause action. Action causes motivation. This misunderstanding keeps millions of people frozen. If you believe motivation must come first, you will always wait. You will wait to feel ready. You will wait to feel confident. You will wait to feel inspired. And nothing will happen. But when you understand that motivation follows movement, everything changes. You move first. You act first. You take one uncomfortable step, and then something unexpected happens. Energy arrives. Clarity improves. Confidence grows. Motivation hits you after you begin. You feel good because you acted. You feel proud because you moved forward. You feel inspired because progress creates belief. Let motivation be the byproduct of your life. Do not make it the gatekeeper of your actions. Nothing arrives without commitment. Half effort produces half results. Trying without deciding leads nowhere. Thinking alone changes nothing. Talking alone changes nothing. Action is the dividing line. Once you take the first step, once direction is chosen, momentum begins to form. But commitment is not excitement. Commitment is staying when excitement disappears. You must remain in the process long enough to discover truth. Leaving too early guarantees confusion. Goals can be written with a pen, but goals are reached with movement. You walk to outcomes. You work your way there. What separates people is not knowledge. It is action. Knowing is easy. Doing is rare. And this is where habits decide everything. It takes time for behaviors to become automatic. Roughly 30 days of repetition. Habits can either serve you or destroy you. They are neutral until practiced. Growing people intentionally build habits that move them forward. The power of a good habit is that it removes decision fatigue. You no longer negotiate with yourself. You act because that is who you are. At first it feels unnatural, then it feels difficult, then it feels normal. Eventually, it becomes identity. Repeat a good habit until it belongs to you. Once it belongs to you, it requires no effort. Every worthwhile achievement feels hard. That is not a flaw. That is proof. No one becomes successful by accident. No one reaches the top without climbing. There are no elevators to mastery. No shortcuts to excellence. Sweat is the price of elevation. Inspiration without effort is fantasy. Inspiration with effort becomes reality. You cannot hold the rose without feeling the thorn. If you want beauty, you accept pain. If you want growth, you accept struggle. Today is the day you stop waiting. Today is the day you act without permission. Do not wait to feel inspired. Move and let inspiration catch up to you. Part 2. Action is the great separator. Not talent, not background, not intelligence. Action. There are people who know exactly what to do and never do it. And there are people who know very little, but they move anyway. The second group always wins in the long run because life does not reward intention. Life rewards execution. Most people stay trapped because they keep negotiating with themselves. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for certainty. They wait for confidence. But confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is built through action. You don't become confident and then act. You act, and confidence follows. Every time you move forward despite fear, something changes inside you. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see evidence that you can handle discomfort. Fear does not disappear when you wait. Fear disappears when you confront it. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect in action. People misunderstand discipline. They think it is about restriction. They think it is about force. Discipline is simply doing what you said you would do, even when your emotions disagree. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is intentional. Motivation rises and falls. Discipline stays. If you rely on how you feel, you will live inconsistently. If you rely on discipline, you will live deliberately. Every meaningful life is built on a foundation of discipline, not dramatic discipline, not extreme discipline, simple daily discipline. Small actions repeated consistently over time. Momentum is created when action becomes routine. At first, progress feels slow. At first, results feel invisible. That is where most people quit. They mistake silence for failure. They mistake lack of applause for lack of progress. But growth is often quiet. Roots grow underground before anything appears above the surface. If you quit too early, you never see what was forming. Commitment means staying long enough for results to reveal themselves. This is where character is built. Anyone can start when it feels exciting. Few continue when it feels ordinary, but ordinary days are what create extraordinary outcomes. Waiting is dangerous. Waiting for permission. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for the right time. There is no right time. There is only now. You do not need full certainty to move forward. You only need direction. Clarity comes from movement, not from thinking. Action sharpens vision. Action creates feedback. When you move, you learn. When you learn, you adjust. This is how progress actually works. Perfectionism is disguised fear. People say they want to get it right. What they really mean is they want to avoid discomfort. But growth requires imperfection. You will make mistakes. You will look foolish. You will fail. And that is not a problem. That is the process. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. The only real failure is refusing to act. Commitment means choosing a direction and removing alternatives. As long as you keep exits open, you will use them. Successful people burn the bridge behind them. Not recklessly, but deliberately. They decide that quitting is not an option. Once that decision is made, energy shifts. Focus increases. Creativity increases. Persistence increases. Because the mind stops asking if and starts asking how. Effort compounds. 1 day of discipline changes very little. 30 days changes something. 1 year changes everything, but only if the effort is consistent. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. Consistency beats intensity. Intensity burns out. Consistency builds. This is why habits matter more than motivation. Habits remove emotion from the equation. You don't wake up asking if you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it. That is the power of habit. Your life is the sum of what you repeatedly do, not what you intend, not what you talk about, what you repeatedly do. If you want a different life, you need different habits. And habits are not formed through inspiration. They are formed through repetition. Repetition is boring. Repetition is uncomfortable. But repetition is effective. Mastery is not talent. Mastery is sustained repetition. Every expert you admire was once a beginner who refused to quit. They showed up when it was inconvenient. They practiced when it was dull. They stayed when others left. That is the difference. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your system. If your system is weak, your results will be weak. If your system is strong, progress becomes inevitable. Build systems that support action. Remove friction. Reduce excuses. Make it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong thing. Environment shapes behavior more than willpower. If you rely on willpower, you will fail eventually. If you design your environment, you win automatically. Discipline is not about force. It is about structure. And structure creates freedom. Because when your actions are aligned, your mind is free. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret lasts forever. Every day you choose which pain you will accept. No one escapes pain, but you choose its purpose. Action gives pain meaning. Avoidance makes pain pointless. Move forward, even slowly, even imperfectly. Momentum rewards movement. And once momentum starts, stopping becomes harder than continuing. That is when life begins to change. Part 3. Habits are invisible architects. They quietly shape your life whether you are aware of them or not. They determine how you spend your time, how you react under pressure, how you treat yourself, and ultimately, who you become. Most people think their life is controlled by big decisions. In reality, it is controlled by small, repeated behaviors. What you do once has little impact. What you do every day defines you. This is why habits are more powerful than motivation, willpower, or inspiration. Motivation comes and goes. Willpower fades under stress. Habits remain. They operate even when you are tired. They operate even when you are distracted. They operate even when you don't feel like it. That is why habits are dangerous when they are bad and transformative when they are good. It takes time for a habit to form. Not because the action is complex, but because the identity must shift. At first, the habit feels foreign. You feel like you are pretending. You feel like this is not really you. That discomfort is not failure. That discomfort is proof that change is happening. You are acting before your identity has caught up. Every time you repeat the behavior, you send a signal to your brain. This is who I am now. Eventually, the brain believes you. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Doing something once proves nothing. Doing it repeatedly creates belief. And belief changes behavior automatically. Most people fail at habits because they focus on outcomes instead of identity. They say, I want to lose weight. I want to make more money. I want to be disciplined. But successful people think differently. They say, I am someone who trains daily. I am someone who manages money responsibly. I am someone who does what needs to be done. Behavior follows identity. If you try to force behavior without changing identity, it will never last. But if you reinforce identity through small actions, behavior becomes natural. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of who you believe you are. That belief is shaped by habit. This is why 30 days matter. Not because 30 days is magical, but because repetition over time rewires perception. Each day you repeat a habit, resistance weakens. Each day you skip it, resistance strengthens. Habits grow or decay. They never stay neutral. This means you are always becoming something, even when you think you are standing still. Growing people understand this. They do not wait to feel like the person they want to become. They act like that person now. They build the future version of themselves, one action at a time. Bad habits don't usually feel dangerous. That's why they survive. They feel harmless. They feel small. They feel justified. But small behaviors repeated over time create massive consequences. The same is true for good habits. Small disciplines practiced daily lead to extraordinary outcomes. The challenge is that good habits rarely feel rewarding in the moment. Bad habits do. This is why discipline is required early on. You must choose long-term identity over short-term comfort. You must choose who you want to become over how you feel right now. That choice must be made daily. Habits also shape how you think. Your thoughts are not random. They are conditioned. If you consistently avoid discomfort, your mind learns avoidance. If you consistently confront difficulty, your mind learns strength. Thought patterns are habits too. Complaining is a habit. Procrastination is a habit. Self-doubt is a habit. And just like physical habits, they can be replaced. But replacement requires awareness. You cannot change what you do not notice. The first step is not force. The first step is honesty. You must look at your behaviors without judgment, not to shame yourself, but to understand yourself. Where do you escape? Where do you delay? Where do you numb yourself? Those patterns reveal what you avoid, and what you avoid controls you. Freedom comes from confrontation. When you face what you avoid, its power shrinks. This applies not only to habits, but to identity. Most people live beneath their potential because they have accepted a smaller identity. They say, I'm just not disciplined. I'm not that type of person. That's just how I am. Those are not facts. Those are habits of belief. And beliefs repeated long enough feel like truth. But identity is not fixed. It is built. Every action is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. You don't need perfection. You need direction. You don't need massive change. You need consistent alignment. When habits align with the person you want to become, life simplifies. Decisions become easier. Resistance decreases. Confidence grows quietly. This is what real growth looks like. Not dramatic. Not loud. Steady. Grounded. Unavoidable. People will ask how you changed. And you will realize it wasn't one moment. It was one habit repeated until it became you. Part 4. Nothing meaningful is accidental. No strong life is built by coincidence. No powerful identity forms without effort. No lasting success appears without struggle. People like to believe there is a secret, a shortcut, a moment where everything suddenly becomes easy. That belief comforts the mind but weakens the soul. The truth is simpler and harder. Everything worthwhile demands payment, and the currency is effort. Effort is unpopular because it exposes reality. Effort removes fantasy. Effort reveals whether desire is real or imagined. Anyone can want a better life. Few are willing to work for it when the work is invisible, because most of the work that matters is unseen. It happens early in the morning, late at night, when no one is watching, when there is no applause. This is where character is forged. Pain is not the enemy. Avoiding pain is. Pain with purpose strengthens. Pain without purpose destroys. Struggle is not a sign that something is wrong. Often, it is a sign that something important is happening. Every skill requires struggle. Every transformation requires discomfort. Growth stretches you beyond your current limits. That stretching feels like resistance. Most people retreat at that point. They mistake resistance for warning, but resistance is simply the boundary of who you used to be. To become more, you must push past it. Mastery is not intensity. It is endurance. It is the ability to continue long after excitement fades, to stay committed when results are delayed, to show up even when progress feels invisible. This is why long-term thinking separates leaders from followers. Short-term thinkers chase comfort. Long-term thinkers accept discomfort. Short-term thinkers ask, how does this feel right now? Long-term thinkers ask, what will this produce over time? Leadership begins with self-leadership. If you cannot lead yourself through discomfort, you cannot lead anything else. True leaders are not reactive. They are intentional. They do not surrender to mood. They do not obey impulse. They act based on principle. Principles outlast emotions. Values outlast motivation. This is how strong lives are built. Leadership also requires responsibility, not blame, not guilt. Responsibility. Responsibility means accepting that your life is your creation. Not entirely fair, not entirely easy, but yours. This realization is uncomfortable at first because it removes excuses, but it is also empowering because it returns control. When you accept responsibility, you stop waiting to be rescued. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for permission. You become the source. Strong people do not wait for ideal conditions. They create conditions. They understand that waiting weakens momentum. Action strengthens it. The longer you delay, the heavier action feels. This is why starting is everything. Not starting perfectly, just starting. Small actions done consistently outperform grand plans never executed. Over time, effort compounds, not linearly, exponentially. At first, progress seems slow. Then suddenly, it accelerates. This is where most people misunderstand success. They quit during the slow phase. They never reach the acceleration phase. They conclude it doesn't work, when in reality, they simply stopped too soon. Time rewards persistence. This is why patience is not passive. It is active endurance. You continue even when you don't feel rewarded, and eventually, life responds. Not because it is kind, but because consistency creates results. Meaning is not found in ease. Meaning is found in effort. A life without struggle feels empty. A life with chosen struggle feels powerful. You don't avoid pain by avoiding effort. You trade meaningful pain for meaningless pain. One leads to growth. The other leads to regret. Every day presents a choice: comfort or progress, excuse or ownership, avoidance or action. No one escapes these choices. They repeat daily. Leadership is choosing correctly more often than not. Not perfectly, but consistently. This is how identity is built. Not through declarations, through decisions. The strongest people are not fearless. They are disciplined. They feel fear and act anyway. They feel doubt and move forward regardless. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is obedience to purpose despite fear. You do not need to feel ready. You need to be willing. You do not need certainty. You need commitment. Life does not reward comfort. It rewards courage sustained over time. Stand up to the moment. Stand up to yourself. Act without waiting for inspiration. Move without waiting for permission. The path reveals itself to those who walk it. And the person you are becoming is built one deliberate action at a time. Is built for success. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It will help us make more valuable content. And thanks for watching.